Well, hello there. This is Jessica from the Literacy Loft, and I just wanted to make a video that was crystal clear about what is inside the membership. I have tried over the last couple of days to get this video up inside our Facebook group, but it has been unsuccessful. I've had some technical difficulties, and we know that's how life goes, but hopefully this time around we make it in there. So I'm just going to give you a tour for what is inside the Literacy Loft membership, and I just want to make sure that you are crystal clear about what is inside the membership so that you can make the decision on whether the membership is right for you or not. So before I hop in, I just want to tell you a couple of things. One, the membership includes all of my resources for grades 3 through 5, including math, science, any social studies resources, but it's heavily focused on ELA and more specifically writing. But just so you know, some upcoming resources that are going to be added will include more reading resources as well. So I just want to make sure that's clear. And the other thing is that the membership also includes any future resources. So every month I add the monthly text sets and definitely the ELA weekly assessments for certain grade levels if those haven't been added yet. And then I'm constantly adding new resources for grades 3 through 5 based on things that I know that teachers and ELA teachers in grades 3 through 5 need, but also member requests. So that's one of the beauties of this membership is that I'm able to create almost like a customized library of resources for my members, and that's exactly what I set out to do when I created this membership. So let's get in there. So when you go to the literacyloftmembership.com, you'll log into your library. So you'll log in and you'll just go up to, there's a top, there we go. You'll go to my library, and you can also just bookmark this link on your, what's that thing called? Your browser bar? I forget what it's called. Or however you bookmark things. So also, just so you know too, one of the reasons why if you've been around a while, you might know this, but if you haven't, one of the reasons that I moved the free resource library over to this platform instead of my regular website was because it has the same setup and same format. So if you've been using the free resource library, it's set up in a very similar way because it's on the same platform. So I did that on purpose because I wanted, if you found me through free resources or the ELA morning work, or you found me through some kind of freebie, then you've probably created an account already, so you are in the free resource library. If you haven't done that yet, then make sure that you are. And if you need that link, I will make sure that it's linked inside the Facebook group. So once you log in, you'll go to my library, and so then you'll go to wherever it is you want to go. So right now, my little fake account has two products, if you will. So they bought the Literacy Loft membership, and they have access to the free resource library. So we're gonna go inside the membership. Wait on my computer. Okay, so once you get in there, everything is organized by subject areas. And these are like the big major categories. So I call them subject areas, but you'll see in a minute the breadcrumbs call them categories. And so it's organized by subject areas, and these are just kind of like the big key places that you would go. So you want to start in the welcome area, which is going to have a welcome video, and then it gives you a site tour, which is what I'm doing right now. And then, so these are the breadcrumbs. Then you can go back to categories after you do that. The monthly text sets will be found here. So each month, I will add a new text set, even in June and July. Every single month, there will be a text set added. Even throughout next school year, monthly text sets will continue to be added to this area. Right now, all of the text sets are informational texts, but as I add more text sets in the future, literature resources or literature text sets will be added as well. So just to kind of give you a view, actually I'm gonna come back to this because I just want to kind of give you an overview first and then go back. So the monthly resource guide is each month I give a resource guide that just kind of highlights what would be beneficial or what the things that you might find valuable to use in your classroom at that time period. And I'll go back to May again in a second. And then writing, this is where all the writing units and resources are. Then I have a section for writing videos, the place for all of the writing centers, and reading, social studies, language, grammar, vocabulary. I actually need to switch the order of those. And then math, all of the math resources, and then you'll go to the next page. Science, and then I also do seasonal resources. I do special sections for those. So there's spring resources, summer resources, and then classroom management resources. Just go back to the first page. So on your right hand side, these are just some quick links. So if you haven't joined the members only Facebook group, that will always be there just to kind of remind you, like, that's where we are. Then the request a resource. So I'm going to just show you this real quick in a second, and the membership survey. But the request a resource, this is where, like, if you have something specific that you want to be added to the membership, you can just click on this at any time and complete a form. And then the membership survey is something that you would do as soon as you sign up for the membership. It's where you can kind of just identify what you're hoping to get out of the membership and things that you're looking for and things that you would find valuable. So I'm just going to show you these real quick, just because if you do decide to join the membership, these are two things that are really valuable to me to help decide what things are going to be added to the membership in the future. So once you go to request a resource, it's just a simple Google form, and it just gives you a place where you can request something. Maybe you have something specific that you're looking for, or if you have read aloud plans or mentor text plans that you're hoping, like a certain book that I'll use, or you have a specific request for writing or reading centers to be added in the future. And then also, sometimes we have problems that we don't know how to solve them, but we know it needs to be solved. So this is a place just where you can submit a request for something like that. So that's the request a resource. And then the membership survey just has you has you answer just some basic questions about, what do you teach throughout the year, which describes you, what grade do you teach, and then this one, which of the following is the most valuable to you. So, like, as I'm planning out things that are going to be added to the unit or to the membership, what is going to be the most valuable to you? And then what kind of literacy support do you have, and the flexibility of your curriculum and resources, and then just how would you know if you made the right decision, and birthdays, because that's important. Your birthday is important. So, going back over here to the categories, I'm going to go into the monthly text sets and just show you that, because that's one thing that the current members have found especially helpful inside the membership. This is something that they really look forward to every month. So each month, at the beginning of the month, I put out a monthly text set, and I'm going to show you exactly what the text set looks like before I go in here. But all the downloads will be on your right hand side. So I'll wait for that to download. And then, so you get a PDF text set. Then you also get an editable teacher essay, so that if you wanted to change it in any way, or if you've been working on something specific with your students, you can adapt it to teach that. Or if you use typed documents to display your writing. So one thing that I've done in the last couple of years is I show my students my writing inside my notebook, but I also, when we're writing essays, especially like if it's in a test prep situation, I will type those on a Google Doc or in a PowerPoint, just because it's easier to make quick changes in the writing. I also use chart paper, like writing certain parts on chart paper, but having it in a typed document already, it's really easy for lots of different eyes to see. You can zoom in so that everybody can see it. If you wanted to give students a copy, if it was something that you had worked on writing together, you can print it out and give everybody a copy so they have an exam, their own like mentor text of an essay that they're working on. So that's one thing that I just found in the last few years that has been really helpful, is just keeping a text, like whatever things we do as a class or any teacher model writing that I do, having it in some kind of document saved on my computer, because then I can refer to it and find it later on in future years, which is important. So there is and I am going to download that too, a teacher essay that's editable. So let me pull this up. This is the Sea Turtles text set, which was the May text set. The topics for each text set are typically related to that time of year. So if I go back, I'm just going to hop back over here real quick because I did want to say this. So you can see like January was Martin Luther King Jr. There's a text set, an opinion writing on him. Equality in education was February. And so we looked at Mary McLeod Bethune and Frederick Douglass. And then March was ants, are they a perk or a pest? And that was opinion writing. April was the benefits of bees, and that was informational writing. And this one is about sea turtles, and it is also informational writing. Here we go. So you get just an overview of like what standards are included. I usually try to include some kind of video if you wanted to use that as like your hook or get kids engaged in the text set, and the reading and writing standards for each grade level. And then each of the text sets are differentiated for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So I just use like a little divider so that you can see, I just use a little divider so that you can see like this is all 3rd grade, and you'll know when it breaks that there's 4th grade. So there's 1, 2, 3 texts, so 2 informational articles, and then a letter to the president. And then some reading comprehension questions. There's usually no more than 10 or so comprehension questions. There's just 2 pages front and back. The last couple of questions is usually like some kind of graphic organizer. And so these are aligned to the 3rd grade standards, the questions are. And then, of course, an answer key, because that's important. And then it's divided into 4th grade. So then there's the same text, just adapted for 4th grade. 4th grade questions. And then I'm just going to, sorry if I make you dizzy for a moment. I just want to show you down to the writing. So the text set comes with a writing prompt so that you could use this if you are getting students ready for a test, or I tried to make, there's several different purposes for these text sets. One, because it's difficult for a lot of teachers, especially in upper elementary, particularly 4th and 5th grade, that it's hard to find text sets for students. Like you kind of run out of them, and even if you have, plenty of text sets on hand, some of them aren't very engaging and can be kind of dry and not really, if you're going to already be like in test prep mode, at least make it fun. So that was one of the reasons, is I wanted to have plenty of available text sets that are in a variety of topics available for teachers. But I also wanted those text sets to be able to be used for reading as well, because one of the things I found like in the last couple of years teaching 4th grade was that students had so many things that they were reading at one time. Like they would have their independent reading book, they would have their read aloud book, they would have the text that we were reading for writing, they would have text that we're reading for reading instruction, they would have their science text, they would have things that we were reading in social studies. So at one time they would have like 5 different things that they're reading, and we just don't have the same amount of time that we used to. And then reading intervention, let me not forget that, because there would be something that they would be reading during reading intervention. And it just seemed kind of silly to me that students had to kind of keep up with all of these things. And it wasn't just managing all these different things, but the reading and the writing text, like those have to be like, you're really getting in depth and really analyzing the text. If you're using these texts for writing, then you're going to be really digging, you're going to be close reading those texts. You're not going to just, it's not as simple like, okay, I'm going to read this real quick and write an essay. It doesn't work like that. So I wanted these texts to also be used, to be able to be used to teach reading. It just seemed silly to me that we were using all of these texts, but not combining some of these for multiple purposes. So I just wanted to create some text that we could do that with. So I try to pull in science and social studies over that's why they're more informational too. I haven't done any literary text yet, because I wanted them to be able to tie into science or social studies, at least on some level. But they're also tied into reading, so you can teach certain reading skills and hit those informational standards consistently. And then the other thing, actually, I think I just said the other thing, but I just wanted to be able to pull these texts across the subject areas is pretty much the main point, and have the topics be engaging and the just for students to actually enjoy it and have fun with it and not feel like it's just another text set. So that's my soapbox. So there's a writing prompt, and then there's a loose writing plan that could be adapted. It's editable in the PowerPoint, so you could change it if you wanted to. And then there's a teacher essay example for just, if I were teaching this is how I would do it. You don't have to do it this way, but I think it's really good to have an example of what the essay could look like. And that was another thing that I heard a lot of feedback from the current members, is that they wanted more teacher examples, they wanted more text sets, and they wanted teacher examples of writing. Because it's very common in schools that you're just, kind of told to go teach writing, but you don't have a lot of like really good examples of what it's supposed to look like. So that was one of the things that I was trying to do inside the membership. So and then of course they get some nice writing paper so that you can display it. And then this month actually had just a bonus graphic organizer, just a simple graphic organizer for students to write a summary of the passage. Okay, so that's the monthly text sets. I'm going to back up and go into the monthly resource guide just to give you to show you what that looks like. I actually skipped quite a few things with the monthly text sets. Let me back up. So this little area is just kind of where the description is and any links. So here is the monthly text standards checklist, and probably, I have to make a copy. So you'll just make a copy of it. You can rename it so it's yours, so nobody else's can edit or change it in any way. And so this just kind of helps you keep track of each standard that is used for the month, so you can see which standards are covered in the month of May, or all of the standards for each grade level. So it's organized by grade level and by standards. And then I also use this to kind of guide like which questions I'm gonna use inside future monthly text sets. So if I see like, okay, every month I've hit text structure, so that's great. Or if, for example, that last month I had only hit 4.8 twice in 2 of the text sets, so I made sure to include it again. So that's just to kind of just to help you keep track of which standards you're looking at. So also I'm looking at 3rd grade, and I've only hit 3.4 twice, so you can bet that I'm gonna make sure it's included in June. Okay. And then you also have the teacher essay as a Google Doc. This is the same thing that was on the PowerPoint that I didn't pull up yet. It's done downloading. So you just get a basic outline for how you could organize it, and then an essay that you could adapt or change in any way. And then this was just some extra notes and drafts of things that it was some good writing, but it was a little bit off. It wasn't flowing, but I just left it down there in case teachers wanted to use it. I didn't want to just delete it and get rid of it. Okay, so then the editable teacher essay is same thing. It's just a PowerPoint, and you can just click on it and change it in any way that you want. All right, so now I'm going to go back to, oops. Okay, so inside the writing, they're organized by writing unit. So if I clicked on, I'm going to go to opinion writing. Once you go there, the other thing I wasn't sure if you noticed in the monthly text sets, but you can also, it has this nice little scroll area, so you can go quickly to somewhere else. You don't have to keep hitting the back button over here, or you can go to the next category, which is the next subject area. So it has just all the different writing units. So if you're here and you wanted to go to the informational writing unit, or you needed to look at some other text set links, you could go there. If you, excuse me, if you needed to look at some essay examples, you could just quickly go there. So that's a nice little, whoops, wow, sorry. That's just a nice little tool right there. So all the downloads for the opinion unit are right here, but if you don't want to wait to download everything individually, you can just download this complete opinion unit zip file. So one reason I did this, and I tried to do this for all of the units, is that if you, like, maybe one time you download the whole thing, but then maybe you're at school and you're like, oh, I want to, or you're at home and you're like, oh, I want to print out, this one thing. You don't have to download everything. So it just kind of makes it a little bit more user friendly. And then the link for the Google Slides. So each unit has PowerPoints and or Google Slides. I think I've done this for almost every unit now. But if I haven't completed all of them, they are definitely in the works. I'm not sure if I just need to still add them to the membership or not. But each unit includes daily lesson plans, lesson guides to kind of give you an overview, notebook charts, PowerPoints, Google Slides, rubrics and checklists, graphic organizers, sorts and other engaging activities, and publishing paper. So I'm going to just kind of go through this quickly because I already went through the writing units in another video. But each lesson just has like teaching points and lesson guides. And so it has a teaching point, which PowerPoint you would use, and then the resources. So like if I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If I were going to teach how writers craft a conclusion, I can quickly, without reading through the whole full page lesson plan, I can say, okay, I'm going to need this PowerPoint, I'm going to need oh, that's backwards. I'm not sure why that looks like that actually. I think this is just actually mixed up. So this is, wow, I didn't notice that. I need to fix that. So let me go over here where it's a little bit more clear. So it has the teaching point, which PowerPoint you would use and which resources you would need. So if I'm teaching how writers support their opinions using strong evidence, I've also got a note to look at lesson 30 for more specific examples. I'm going to need to choose, I can need this PowerPoint and I need this notebook chart. So just to kind of give you like a sneak, or not sneak peek, but like just a big overview, kind of like a cheat sheet. And then, so these are like the daily lesson plans. So I kind of give you like an about the unit, how to prepare for the unit, mentor text that you could use for the unit, the parts of the lesson in case you're not familiar with how all the lessons are set up, and then the daily lesson plans. So there, so you can see like this unit has 31 lesson plans. Each unit is about a month. You could make it shorter or stretch it longer depending on that. And there are daily lesson plans. I include like pictures of how you might set things up or how their student notebooks might look. Charts that you could use, and the PowerPoints and slides for every single lesson, and the slides are numbered to match the lesson. And then students also get notebook anchor charts, And these are also full page in case you don't use a notebook, you use a binder. I've done both in the past, and there's definitely benefits to both. It just depends on you as a teacher. So let me zoom back out. So that's pretty much how the units are set up. And I'm going to, let's see, one of the things that, I'm just going to show you this real quick, because one of the things that teachers requested was, because I didn't have the monthly text sets created yet, I didn't have as many, I was just starting them, but a lot of teachers still needed text sets for their students. And so I did a little research on the internet, and I just found some different texts that could be used for different grade levels, for informational and for opinion. And so these are just links to free websites, such as I think readworks.org and NewsELA, of things that could be used to write in response to those texts. So I'm going to back up. I don't want to make this video too long, but I definitely want to give you an in-depth view of what is inside the membership. Now, if you have any questions, just let me know. So the writing videos, the ones that are added right now are the ones that I've already, well, there's only one in here right now, but I'm adding any videos that I've put on YouTube or any other, or on my website, so that they're all in one place for you. You don't have to go to the blog or go to YouTube to find any videos that I've created on writing. That's definitely something that teachers have been looking forward to, are just more specific videos for different writing strategies. So that's something that's definitely a work in progress and coming along. The writing centers we talked about, I think in the other video, and just to kind of show you, I did one video here that just kind of introduced them, and then I had another video talking about how they could be organized, and you can just download them right here on your right. And this is just like the information, which writing centers are included, and then also just a reminder to request a resource, because there are definitely going to be more writing centers included. Right now there's only volume 1, so there's only one set of writing centers, but definitely more to come. And then reading. So 2 big resources that that teachers really find valuable out of the membership are the reading notebook charts and the ELA morning work. And this is actually 3, I said 2, but it's actually 3, and the ELA weekly assessment. So the ELA morning work and the ELA weekly assessments go together. So the reading notebook charts are similar to the writing charts, but they are just notebook charts that go that are glued inside student notebooks. So you can see and that they're just glued inside their notebook, and they are also in full page sheets, and they're aligned to every standard in grades 3 through 5. So there's a chart for every single standard, if not more. And so there's informational and literature. So there's full page anchor charts and half page anchor charts. So I'm actually this will be a quick download. I can look at those just so you can see. So like this is summarizing stories. So it's just a notebook chart. And then sometimes there's also, depending on the chart, a little graphic organizer that students can use inside their notebooks. Okay, so let's look at the ELA morning work. So on the right hand side, you can just download the zip file or download the individual morning work. And if you haven't seen this yet, let's open January. Just to give you a big overview in case you're not familiar with the morning work. So it's just a thematic structure. So Monday's Meaningful Monday, Tuesday is Text Structure Tuesday, Wednesday is Wordy Wednesday, and Thursday's Throwback Thursday, Friday's Figurative Friday. So each week follows a theme, obviously. And so Meaningful Monday, it's usually wrapped around like context clues or making meaning, reading comprehension. And then there's always some sort of, there's always synonyms or antonyms. So students have to identify if the pair of words are synonyms or antonyms. Text Structure Tuesday is all about text structure. How is it organized? What kind of text structure does the author use? Those kinds of questions. And there's also main idea questions in there, because that goes with the main idea and structure of a text are hand in hand. So those types of questions are also included. And then Wednesday is usually just working with words. So spelling, and then like homophones or frequently confused words or Latin and Greek roots. And then Thursday is grammar. Friday is figurative language. So I'm trying to see if so sometimes there is a poem, sometimes it's like a short paragraph with figurative language. Yes. So what's fantastic about this morning work, and why a lot of teachers love it, is that you're consistently reviewing language standards like the ones in Wednesday and Thursday, because grammar is not really something that is given a lot of time to inside of our day. So this is one way that you can make sure that you are hitting those grammar and language standards. And what a lot of teachers do is use the morning work to review every day, or a few days out of the week, or just constantly like talk about the morning work. And then on Fridays they'll give an assessment. So I'm going to take a look at, let's look at October. So the ELA weekly assessments they just mirror the structure of the morning work and ask the same types of questions. And then you can just use that as a weekly assessment, just to be sure, or just to understand whether students are retaining, or if they're learning and growing within the morning work. So a lot of teachers use that as like a Friday assessment for the morning work. And then so I'm going to use my little scroll. So that's for the morning work, and the weekly assessments are for grades 3 through 5. Then just some other reading resources are guided reading. There's not a ton of, I'm going to just be completely transparent with you. There are not a ton of guided reading resources in there right now specific. There's a lesson planning template, and then there's reading strategy cards that are in there. But there is a lot of resources that teachers use as part of their guided reading. There's elements of a story. This one is just a bookmark and posters that help remind students what story elements are. There's a picture, you can see it. Reading genre posters to display in your classroom. A biography project. This is one of my favorites. So this is just a little booklet. Oh, good, there's a picture. A little booklet, and inside the booklet, students can use this paired with, it's meant to go with the Who Was series, but you could definitely use it with any biography. And so it covers like themes in biographies and secondary characters. And let me see if I can pull it up real quick while I'm waiting on that to download, just to show you a few of the other things. Just some smaller resources. Book clubs is a really good unit, and that's going to be updated to be added with daily lesson plans and all of the things that the writing units have. That's one thing that I'm working on in the upcoming year and over the summer, is creating the reading units that are just as big and in depth as the writing units. That's one of my big goals for the membership, is to be able to have that available for you as well. They're not in there right now, but I just want you to know that that is something that is going to be included. So let's see. So inside the biography project, you can see the overview. Like they just kind of do a timeline of the person. It's a very like easy, independent, even if you don't have your whole class working on it, it's a great partner project or a project that students can work on independently. Or you could even have, like when you're doing your small groups, if this is something that I had like my higher students work on, when they could work on independently, and then we could come back together and we could meet and talk about the biographies that they're reading. So just, you can kind of see like what each page has. I was going to scroll down. And then I also give you some suggestions, like even if you don't follow the Who Was series, I give you some suggestions of how you could use this. So it would be great for Black History Month or Women's History Month, or just to have students, like maybe have one student in your class each select a person. So I give you a list of people, and then this is just kind of what the booklet looks like, and there's directions on how to copy it as well. And so there's definitely a lot of writing, but a lot of like places where students can draw and make it more like a project. Yeah, so that's that. Let me back up. So the reading tic-tac-toe is a monthly reading tic-tac-toe where I use this for homework, and so every month students, this was their reading homework for the month. They just had to read 30 minutes every night, and then they had to do like 3 of these reading activities. And then, so there are some read aloud plans as well, and I just do want to say one thing about any read aloud plans in here. One thing that I'm going to be adding for the for next school year is a section inside the membership called Pencils and Pages. And what this is going to be is picture books specifically, and then chapter books as well. But first, we're focusing on picture books that can be used to teach reading and be used to teach writing. So the pencils and the pages. So that's something that's going to be added. It's I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm really excited about it, but I'm just going to try to draw myself in. But it's something I'm really excited about. So these are going to get a little bit of a update, little overhaul kind of. Let's see. These are just some other like small little reading resources. So I'm going to skip on over to this is social studies. So now we're in social studies, and so the biography project is here, and then there's a state research and history project, and there's one for every single state. And let me see if is there a picture? Nope. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's one for every single state, and so students just kind of, it's like a little research project where they have to find out about their state. So they figure out the state symbols, the state history, how did the state get its name, and then there's also a rubric, and it's a booklet very just like the biography project, and so there's one for every single state. And I love the booklets, and I think they are perfect for social studies because you can also glue them inside their notebook, their social studies notebook. But if you think of anything that, if you're in the membership and you teach social studies as well, and you think that, you're covering something specific, I do intend to add more social studies resources that integrate into reading and writing, because I know that a lot of ELA teachers also are expected to incorporate and integrate social studies. So that's something I definitely have on my radar. And if you are looking for something specific, or you have an idea for one of these booklets that you could use for social studies for your standards, or you have something specific you're looking for, please reach out to me and let me know, because I would be happy to create another kind of booklet that helps you integrate social studies as well. Another social studies resource is the current event newspaper assignment. So students can use like a Time for Kids or Studies Weekly, or if you use any kind of social studies, or not social studies, but any kind of like classroom magazine or anything, this would be a great way to have students analyze the article. So I'm just going to pull this up. This is one of my favorites. And so inside this resource, they're just thinking and writing about like whatever the topic is or whatever the article is. So they think about the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. And so this, you could use this as homework. You could use this as like a monthly project. And then they look at the author's craft. So how did the author include his or her opinion? And they find new vocabulary words. And then they summarize the article. And then, this little guy got confused in this category. This is a writing unit, but I'm glad it was there because it goes right along with the current event. This is, actually, I think it's in two categories, but now that I think about it. But the newspaper article writing unit, this is a whole writing unit where students write their own newspaper. This is perfect for the end of the year. If you're done with testing or you're not testing, but this is perfect for the end of the year, a fun writing unit where students are writing newspaper articles about topics that interest them. So I don't think I have any pictures down. Oh, good. So there's notebook charts, there's anchor chart slides, and there's daily lesson plans. That the lesson plans for this unit are a little bit shorter and just kind of move quicker through the unit because there is so much. But it's really, really, really fun unit, and it's perfect for the end of the year. A lot of teachers use this as like if they have like a newspaper club or some kind of like writing club at their school. This is a perfect unit for that. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, moving on. So language, grammar, and vocabulary. There are prefixes and suffixes task cards. There's grammar and vocabulary notebook charts. I'm getting ready later this week to add or not this week, in the next couple of weeks, to add several sets of task cards for punctuation, all of grammar for 3rd grade, and then 4th grade, and then 5th grade as well. So those will be ready for the upcoming school year. And there's notebook charts, like the informational and literature notebook charts. There's grammar and vocabulary notebook charts. And then we're in math. So even though this is definitely geared towards ELA teachers, there are plenty of math and science resources inside right now. So I just do want to just so you know, in case you do teach math and science, I do want to just kind of show you what's available, just so you know. The math morning work is similar to the ELA. Oops, let me scroll down. Is similar to the ELA morning work. And I'm going to go to the April because it's been recently updated. And I'm working on updating all of the morning work to look like this. But the April math morning work was recently updated to include standards so that you can be sure like which standards the problems align to. So I'm working on this for all grade levels, but 3rd grade just happens to be first. So the math morning work, if you haven't used this yet or aren't familiar with it, a lot of teachers if you use both morning works, a lot of teachers actually use the math as a warm-up for their math block and then the ELA as a warm-up for their ELA block. So Mondays are multiplication Monday, so everything is wrapped around multiplication. And then Tuesday is base 10 Tuesday, so everything's about like place value, number systems. Wednesday, they have a problem where there's no words, so it's adding or subtracting, or like this one is telling time, or multiplication or division, but there's just numbers there, or a clock, but no words. And then because most of the other days it's a word problem. And then Throwback Thursday, that's where we do either a review, or there's like area and perimeter, or sometimes like a little science question, or measurement and data. I haven't talked this long in a very long time. Thank you. I had to get some water. So let's see. Friday is Fraction Fun Friday. How's that for some alliteration? So Friday's all about fractions. So just to kind of give you an overview, if you do plan to use these, one of the reasons that I created this morning work was because I always felt behind in math. Always. And I felt like even though I was behind and I felt like we had to continue, like I would be behind, but then I would know that my students didn't master certain concepts, or they needed more time, or they needed like just a few more days and they would have it. I felt like that was happening a lot. And so I noticed that like there was just certain standards that just take a long time to process, and you can't just, cover them for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then move on to something else and then expect them to retain it and not, be able to remember everything that they learned 2 months from now when we take a test or a state test or whatever it is. So, or district test is what I was trying to say. But I noticed that like there were certain things that they just needed consistent review on, and us to like consistently touch on, so that they saw these types of problems all the time. And of course, multiplication and division was a huge one. Place value and number sense, and then pretty much like kind of a big overview of all the standards. But like fractions, multiplication, and place value, those are just really, really important standards that needed to be touched on consistently. Also because they go together and they build upon each other. So that was one of the reasons that I created this morning work. And then the ELA morning work came after that because I found some similar problems. So just that's that. I spent a lot of time on that one. Okay, so that's available for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. There are not math weekly assessments, but that has been requested by teachers, but it is not in the works yet, just so you know. Math word walls are just math vocabulary word walls. They're for all grade levels, and they're organized by standard. And because one of the things I also noticed, and I'm sure that you agree with, is that like the big part of math and science is vocabulary. A big part of understanding any subject area is the vocabulary of that subject area. So there are math word walls and there are science word walls as well. Then there's some place value resources. There's some other math task cards. Actually, those are not math task cards. Those are ELA task cards. I need to switch that out. And then just some spring, decimals, and fractions, area and perimeter. This is a really fun gardening project. Or they're not actually like creating a garden. They're planting a garden. But you could have, a lot of teachers have used this to actually plan out their school garden, which I thought was like really, really cool. And then, let's see, where are we? Units of measurement, multiplication posters, classifying 2D shapes, symmetry, more task cards. All right, so let's keep moving. Okay, so science, there are science word walls for grades 3 through 4 and 5th grade. There are some task cards that are in there now. There's not task cards for every standard, but definitely have those coming down the pipeline. And then an Earth Day recycling project. This kind of got, this is in 2 categories, spring resources, and it's a great project that you could definitely incorporate science into. Okay. So spring resources, so this is where we're kind of getting into like seasonal resources. So the Mother's Day booklet is in there if you haven't seen this yet. This is actually I have a better picture I need to upload, but I do believe I included it in an email. So this is just a fun writing project to have students give their mom a nice little booklet that's all about my mom that they wrote. And then these are just like, this is a math, the one actually we just saw it. And then there's also a Father's Day booklet that is very similar, but it's just for dads instead of moms. And then this is all the end of year resources. So end of year activities book, task cards, and let's see what else. And this is where all like the classroom management kind of stuff is, which, let's see, just some basics of things that you could use in your classroom. Okay, so I think we're at the end of the road. Okay, yes. Okay, so the other thing I did want to say too is that so I had spring and summer resources there. During like back to school or winter or fall, other resources are released, but they're just released that month just so I can kind of freshen up and update that category before it's released to members, just to make sure, like it doesn't have like old resources that maybe either have like a mistake or, aren't exactly that pretty anymore, or if I've just updated them to just be better quality overall, which I do often. I just want you to be aware of that. So you'll notice like there was not, like back to school resources, or there's very limited classroom management resources because most of that kind of stuff is in the back to school category. So I just want you to be aware of that those resources are included. I just don't usually release them until right before that season. So I try to release them like a month or so at least ahead, but they're just not, I just don't have them there all year round. So I think that's it. I think we covered everything. That was long, and I hope you're still hanging in here. And if you are, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns or something you're wondering about with the membership, please write a comment below. Send me an email at jessica@theliteracyloft.com. Send me a message on Facebook. However you want to communicate with me and ask me those questions, please let me know. Just remember that the membership does close tomorrow, May 9th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And it will not open again until back to school time. So just so you know, if you aren't sure if the membership is right for you, then definitely reach out. And if you have any questions, and one of the reasons I wanted to open up one more time before the end of the school year is so that you would have the summer to kind of see what you have available for you, and so you could do some planning for the upcoming school year. So I will see you later, and I hope you saw the giveaway for the books in the Facebook group, and that's it. All right, have a good afternoon, good evening, and I will talk to you soon.